Do you know the actual story behind Susanoo from Naruto in the context of Japan? That's right, it's not just random character that was made up in the world of Naruto. Susanoo is actually in fact from a Japanese religion called Shinto. And not just Susanoo, a lot of Naruto's jutsu and even the storyline is based off of Shintoism. If you see this red gate in any anime you watch, it's actually a Shinto shrine gate called Tori. So Shintoism is still widely practiced in Japan with its own festivals and some customs, but I would say it's more culturally and spiritually infused than Western religiously infused. And I'll make a video on that later, but for today we're gonna talk about Susanoo and his origins in Japan. So his full name is Susanoo no Mikoto, and he's the god of the sea and the storm. And you gotta understand, Japan, because it's an island country, the ocean and the storm is a big deal. We fished mostly, so if a storm came and wiped out our fishermen, that was not good. That was not good for the village. And his personality, just like the seas and the storms of real life, was highly unpredictable. You just never know what he's up to in the mythology, but he is still regarded as one of the top deities of Shintoism, with his own shrines and even his own festivals dedicated to him. And the shrines are mostly dedicated in the southern seacoast of Japan, where people say he visited. So let's get into his mythology. So Susanoo was born out of Izanagi's nose when he was coming back, cleansing himself from a Japanese hell called Yomi. So why was he in this underworld? Did he die? Did he come back from hell? No, he didn't die, but his wife Izanami died. And Izanagi sort of tried to save Izanami from the underworld, but that's a story for another day. His older sister Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi was also born at the same time. And then when they were born, Izanagi gave each of his children a different responsibility. Amaterasu became the god of the sun. Susanoo became the god of the storm and the ocean. And Tsukuyomi became the god of the moon. And they lived in Takamagara, which is the plain high heaven of Japan. So the best place to live if you're a god in Shintoism. While growing up, Susanoo had a really tough time not having a mother. He would cry and cry and cry to a point where he caused storms to dry up the rivers, tsunamis everywhere, and even the mountains just shredded. And this really pissed off Izanagi as a good father he is, and thought it was too dangerous, so he was banished from the high heavens. And where was he banished to? To the Ninokuni, which is where us lowly actual humans live. Before leaving though, he actually felt bad for his older sister Amaterasu because he was a bratty kid and had a bad relationship with her. It's kind of his fault. So before leaving, they decided to exchange gifts to each other. Susanoo gave her Totsuka no Tsurugi, which is actually part of Naruto, and Amaterasu gave him Magatama necklace. Magatama is a little jewelry that's shaped as one of those tomoe eyes, just like a Sharingan. But part of this ritual, they wanted to chew up each other's gifts and see how many gods they could spit out or create. Amaterasu spit out 3 gods, but Susanoo spit out 5. Now it's said that when he realized he was victorious, he raged with victory. Raged to the point where he started dancing all around the mountains, ruining all the rice fields, killed 3 horses, and then defecated and threw it around. He pooped. So this gave Amaterasu trauma, which makes sense, and she hid in the cave, which is actually part of Amaterasu's story that I'll discuss later on in another video. So not a good look for Susanoo so far, not the vibe you thought he had watching Naruto, I'm guessing. So he's officially banished from high heavens, and he goes to the Izumo province, which is kind of in the south of Japan. So actual place now. And here the story picks up where he is sort of a hero, kind of a little bit better. And in the human world, he meets up with this elderly couple that said 7 out of 8 of their daughters were killed and eaten by a serpent called Yamata no Orochi. Yamata means 8-headed, and Orochi, you might hear from Orochimaru, which means great serpent. And there is only one of their daughter named Kushi Inada Hime, maybe Kushina from Naruto's mom, but many people in Japan refer to her as Inada Hime, Hime meaning princess. And at this moment, Susanoo feels bad. Susanoo was like, you know what? I'm gonna take care of this serpent. He turns Inada Hime into a comb, or kushi, and then sticks it into her hair for safekeeping. And then now his plan was to set up 8 glasses or shots of alcohol so that the serpent eats it in each of his head and makes him a little bit intoxicated. So the old man or one of the elderly couples love this plan and sets them up in one of the riverbanks in the south of Japan. And while they hid and behind a bush or something, a Yamata no Orochi came in and drank and took all the alcohol. And then when the serpent was heavily intoxicated and sleeping, Susanoo out of nowhere jumped out, slashed them out to pieces where the river was red with blood, is what it says. And from the tail came the infamous Kusanagi no Tsurugi. Kusanagi no Tsurugi is actually one of the 3 sacred treasures of Japan, the whole country of Japan. And it's also Sasuke's sword, or katana. So, that's the story of Susanoo in the context of a Japanese religious/historical book called Kojiki. Susanoo does have a little bit more storyline after this, but this is his main plot point that everyone knows about. What a guy. So he killed Orochimaru. Who would have thought? A little bit ironic, you know? A little bit makes sense why Sasuke wanted to kill Orochi and all that. A little bit funny. If you liked it, please subscribe and more videos coming up. ありがとうございます。